The recent Hardin County Agriculture Conservation Protecting Water Field Day brought farmers and industry leaders together to learn about conservation techniques surrounding water quality as well as soil health. It was unique in that it was being held at one of the state's newly funded demonstration farms. The day's presenters spoke on a wide range of conservation factors, and we begin by hearing from soil scientist Hardin Coke on the history of soil degradation as well as its future.
Today I talked about soil health and tried to get across to farmers how important that is and why we're even talking about soil health. And the main focus was on organic matter. We've lost a lot of organic matter. When the northern Ohio soils were taken out of the forest 150 years ago or so, we probably had about a 3-4% organic matter in most of those soils. And today a lot of farmers are operating around 1% organic matter. Now that doesn't sound like a big change, but it is losing 2/3 of your organic matter, and it has a huge impact on how those soils react. Our old soils, like great-grandpa had, probably wouldn't have responded that violently to the different weather conditions that we have right now. So what can we do to get that organic matter content back? It really means we need to back off on the amount of tillage we do. If you can get no-till, that's great, but if you can't quite make that, that's okay too. Try to back off on the amount of tillage we do. Incorporate cover crops wherever you can. We're only using our land about 5 months out of the year, unless you have wheat in the rotation. There's 7 months of solar energy coming down we're not using. Why not put a cover crop in there instead of letting Mother Nature dictate what grows there? Weeds, we need to control. Put a cover crop in there. Control your weeds, add organic matter to the soils, and by using those two practices and then pay close attention to your nitrogen management, make sure we can probably double the amount of organic matter that we gain in our soils.
Kevin Ward of Findlay Implement Company, one of the key sponsors of the day, took time to explain just how modern equipment can play a big role in conservation.
This morning we were talking about options for directly incorporating fertilizer into the ground in no-till and minimum till practices. So if they're a farmer that's practicing no-till conservation tillage practices, they're able to get fertilizer in the ground to be available, readily available for their crops, and not have to broadcast it in concern of runoff as it relates to water quality, and also just ease of cost in their operation. They get it incorporated in the ground and get all the product and don't have to worry about loss of product and increasing their cost. The last few years, farmers have been trying to adjust and use different types of equipment, maybe practices that have never been done before or ones that they haven't done, so that they can incorporate the fertilizer and add cover crops. Many of them are doing things they've never done before, so they're coming in and asking for tools and things that we may not have ever thought of because they want to do it in a different manner than it's been done in the past. One of the main concerns is the additional cost of the operation and having to own and maintain another piece of equipment. So we've taken up some rental programs and offerings, as well as some other organizations, to offer low-cost rentals so that customers can try it out and use conservation tillage and incorporate their fertilizer and incorporate their cover crop products so that they can still be profitable in their operation and meet the regulations and needs that are in today's society with fertilizer.
Christopher Spees is of Ohio Northern University. He spoke on the science of water quality and its effect on the watershed.
Talking about water quality out here in Cessna Creek, which is sort of at the upper end of the Blanchard River, one of the parts of the Maumee that ultimately flows into western Lake Erie Basin. Talking about the levels of things like nitrogen and phosphorus and bacteria loadings into the creek. And then also talking about the water quality in the two-stage ditch that we have installed here at the Kurt Farm site. So this is our two-stage ditch. It's a sort of up-and-coming best management practice for nutrient reduction. It takes your sort of standard trapezoidal ditch where you get sort of high flashy flows during rain events, and by installing what we call benches, which are just sort of flat areas, a little bit of a floodplain within the ditch. Installing those, putting vegetation on them slows the water down, allows sediment to fall out, allows those plants to take up things like nitrogen and phosphorus.
Are there some serious disadvantages to old ditches that maybe producers just could be overlooking since they've been using them for so long?
So I mean, the standard trapezoidal ditches, there's a comfort level there. It's what everyone knows about. But at the same time, if you look at the landscape, a lot of those are very, very straight. and they tend to fill up very quickly with very fast flows, which means that you're getting bank erosion, you're getting sediment transport, nutrient transport. So installing these two-stage ditches helps to sort of slow down the flow, reduce those loads, and in a lot of cases we start to introduce different things like meanders and curves into the stream, again, to sort of mitigate some of those other factors with the standard trapezoidal ditches.
Jesse Blanton, a master's student at Ohio State in the Department of Food, Agricultural, and Biological Engineering, is researching phosphorus removal structures, one of the things being researched at that demonstration farm.
My research is essentially into basically phosphorus a variety of phosphorus removal structures and testing their effectiveness, although really my side of it, I'm doing some of the design, but am more focused on putting together a freely available Excel-based tool for farmers and other folks to be able to begin to characterize, based on their own fields, their own phosphorus loading, all these things, what kind of filter might be best, and basically what size it's going to be, what kind of costs they're going to look at. All the structures I'm looking at are going to be at field edge rather than out in the field or down in the ditch. So we're looking at a blind inlet that's sort of a modified version of urban sand filters, saturated buffers, which essentially use the soil itself to extract phosphorus. This only applies to certain kinds of soils, but they're pushing the water underneath the vegetative buffer strip through the soil down at the level of the tile drain. And then also at modified wood chip bioreactors, so which is a standard denitrifying wood chip reactor with an added chamber at the end for extracting phosphorus.
More on Ohio's demonstration farm program, as well as some of that equipment displayed at the Hardin County Field Day, online at ohioagnet.com. From the field, I'm Joel Penorwood.